All right, guys, welcome to beautiful Huntington Beach. Just out here enjoying this beautiful ocean today. Welcome back to the channel. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel for future videos. And today we're going to be talking about work-life imbalances and how we deal with those as nurses.
This is a really personal topic for me just because for a long time I had a very unhealthy balance between my career and my work life and my home life. I made a lot of changes in my career. In fact, that's what I've been doing over the past 6 months to a year, just basically changing my career up completely. And now I have a very healthy balance between my work life and my home life. There are many contributing factors to an unhealthy work-life balance, and this will vary from person to person. It's a very subjective thing. For me, I was able to narrow it down to 3 big things that affected my life the most. 1 was working too much, 2 was forgetting to put my self-care first, and 3 was a lot of inner conflict that I was having with myself as far as what I wanted from my career. So when you're overworked, it's very difficult to be at your best. When you're working too much, it's hard to think straight, it's hard to make sure that you're doing drug calcs correctly. Sometimes you make little mistakes that you normally wouldn't otherwise. The other thing with working too much is it's hard to have empathy. It's hard to have that caring nature that is needed in nursing. When you work 7 12-hour shifts in a row, you're so focused on just trying to get through your shift that you forget to have that caring aspect to your care. And it's very easy to do, and maybe some people haven't experienced this, but I know I personally have, that when I've worked too much, that caring and empathy is just very difficult to focus on. It's very hard to kind of put into my practice. And as a nurse, that's one of the most important things that I need to do for my patients, is really kind of reach out to them and make sure that they know that I care about them and that I want them to be better and get better. And for an overworked nurse, that can be very difficult sometimes. Really, the most, I would say, motivating factor for me to work too much was my sense of obligation to my department and to my work family, to the people that I worked with, and making sure that my team wasn't short and that we had the nurses on hand that they needed to, or that my department needed to make sure that we could take care of whatever it is that came in, especially working in the ER. And this sense of obligation is really, kind of why I overworked myself a lot of times, is because I never wanted to let my team down. I always wanted to make sure that they had what they need to be successful, and I would really put it at my own detriment to make sure that, I would be able to be there and pick up those shifts and be a part of that team to make sure that people were getting taken care of and that my team wasn't suffering because they were short. So how did I learn not to work so much? How did I learn to make sure that I put my work-life balance back in order? The biggest thing that I did for myself was learn to say no. When you're at work, there needs to be this team atmosphere and everybody needs to work together, and that's how you run a department effectively, is that everybody works together as hard as they possibly can as a team. But when your time is off and your time belongs to you, you need to not have that sense of duty or obligation that you pick up hours that are going to burn you out. If you're taking time off so that you can come back fresh and able to take care of patients effectively, that's the best thing you possibly can do. And being able to take that time off for yourself so that you can recuperate and recharge is really what your department needs. So now you said no to that shift. You really have to detach and be able to kind of leave your work self at work and kind of have your home self to yourself. And it sounds super simple, but it's something that can be kind of difficult, especially right now with COVID. It makes it super difficult because you just really want to be there for your team, you want to be there for your patients, but when you're outside of work and you're taking that time to yourself to decompress, you really need to find what you need to do so that you truly can decompress. So I started life in the medical field as an EMT and a volunteer firefighter. One of the things that I learned going through school for that is really you need to put your safety first. So you go into a situation to help somebody, but you really need to make sure that it's a safe environment, that you can actually go in there and take a calculated risk and help that person. And you're not going into a situation where you yourself become a victim and then you have your team trying to save 2 people. And it's super important. It's a really weird concept for people to wrap their head around because we get into the medical field to help people. I feel like this concept especially applies to being in the hospital and overworking yourself. So this is a good segue into the number 2 thing that affected my work-life balance the most. And that's really kind of neglecting my own self-care, forgetting to take care of myself first. There's a really good analogy that kind of sums this all up. And basically, if you think of yourself as a bank account, you know, when you go into work, you're paying out. When you're picking up those extra shifts, you're paying out. When you are not sleeping because you work nights and you just have a terrible sleep cycle and you have stuff to do during the day, so you just don't sleep, you're paying out. And you got to think eventually your bank account is going to run out of money. So you got to make sure that you're putting money back into yourself so that you can pay that back out. And if you forget to kind of put that money back in that bank account, you're going to end up overdrawing your account. It seems super simple, but it's a concept that I just couldn't grasp for a long time. And it took me a long time to really wrap my mind around this, that I really needed to focus on myself first so that I could do better in my career and do better for my patients. How do you replenish yourself? Well, there was a few things that I did, especially that helped me the most, was fitness and really just getting out to nature, going on hikes, taking my dog for a walk, exercising and working out, stuff like that. The other one is my relationship with my wife. That has been a huge help to me, you know, and really has helped me to focus on what is important to me. And I think that has also been a huge thing to help replenish me and really taking time to nurture that and really kind of develop that relationship with my wife. So I think at some point we all got into the medical field because we wanted to help people. I really wanted to be this badass ER nurse that really made a difference and, you know, saved people's lives and was a part of teams that saved people's lives. You know, I thought that's what I wanted and that's what I was focused on, and I put all my effort into it. I started to have this pit in my stomach and this inner conflict because I wasn't happy. No matter what I did, no matter how hard I worked, no matter how many accomplishments I accomplished, it just never was enough. Like I always needed more because I was always just had something lacking. Like it just wasn't there. You know, I couldn't figure it out for the longest time. And then I met my now wife, and I started to realize that there's more important things in life, and that I wanted to not work nights anymore, that I wanted to be home for weekends and holidays, that I wanted to take parts in birthdays and be there for all the things that I missed when I worked full-time in the ER and I was always at the hospital. That was no longer what I wanted from life. I really wanted to be a part of my family's life and really have these memories with my family and really grow that. And that's really the inner conflict that I had with my career that really affected my work-life balance, is because no matter how hard I worked, what I was working for no longer was what I wanted. I really was living to work, and now I work to live. Meaning I was putting all my efforts into my career at the expense of my home life. I feel like this is a really common problem, and we as nurses are so set in a routine that we forget to self-examine ourselves and our situations and see if our circumstances have changed in life. And then what we end up doing is we find ourselves toiling away at a dream that no longer belongs to us. And this creates a really deep inner conflict that can really throw the work-life balance out of whack and really make you feel like something's missing. So every career has its problems, especially as nurses. You're gonna run into a lot of little things that you never thought you were gonna run into. What is important is when we run into life's little speed bumps is that we slow ourselves down. We take a step back, we kind of look at the big picture, and we reevaluate what's important, and we kind of balance our lives so that we have a good balance between work and life. I put a lot of myself into this one. I think that this is something that is a big subject for a lot of nurses, but it isn't being talked about a whole lot, which is why I put this video together. I really want to just stress how important it is to take care of yourself, especially through these trying times. And I really want everybody to be as prosperous as they possibly can and come out healthy, happy, safe on the other side of anything that we may be facing. So please comment below. I would love to hear any kind of issues that you guys are seeing in the field, anything that you guys are feeling as nurses, as far as stress that you may be feeling. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, as I'll be putting out a lot more content in the future. As always, protect yourself, make sure you're taking care of yourselves. Let's all get through this together. Thank you.